Speaking of new watches, let's talk about
Mm-hmm.
the new
Ah,
C63 Sealander collection.
thought you were never going to get round to it.
Oh man, no, we have to talk about it.
What can you tell us about it, and how is it
Yeah,
different than the rest of the current collection?
sure. This is one of those areas that as I think about it now, I wonder how it's taken so long. we can't be as smart as we thought we were. That's for sure. We've created we're creating really strong platforms, and the C60 Trident contemporary dive watch is a really strong platform for us in contemporary dive, and we run a number of models off that platform, off that light catcher case that we developed initially for the C60. We then went to the C65, which is again a light catcher case, but is a retro design. So the light catcher design is softer, it's mellower, it's more to do with that sort of 50s, 60s vibe. And so it's the edges of it aren't quite as dynamic, but it's still a light catcher case, which is our sort of one of the things we kind of own as a property, which Adrian Bookman, who I was talking about earlier, he developed this light catcher case. Took quite a long time, and it was inspired. I'm very lucky to have, very fortunate to have an Aston Martin, and
Wow, nice.
it's the DB9, and if it didn't have an engine in it, I would hang it on the wall because I've always loved the lines of that particular Aston Martin. And so when we were talking, this is going back several years now, 3-4 years, maybe 5, when we started to first talk about creating a completely new case architecture, my brief to him actually I threw that on the table. Threw that on the table. This is a model cast of the DB9, and I said to him, I want you to capture this in a watch case. Cool. And so we worked on it. He worked on it, and as you will know, with sports cars, with all cars, in actual fact, car design is really interesting because the design of a car, even these days with SUVs, what they look to do is create lines on the car that make the car look like it sits lower on the road. Yeah, because this is all about speed. It's all about making it look faster. And we wanted to capture, and they use light, they use lines, they use facets to do that. Yeah, if you look at really great car design, it has the most incredible waistlines that capture the light and throw light off it. All is designed to make it look as if it sits lower. And so that was the target. So the light catcher case is a really innovative case, and to be honest, I think the industry is really lazy about cases. If I see another slab-sided case, I'm going to shoot myself. I mean, it's just really dumb. And what we wanted was a beautiful piece of architecture that had a purpose. And Adrian created this light catcher design, which is sharpest in the C60 because that's the most dynamic tool watch end of the spectrum. As I say, the C65 is the retro dive collection, and therefore has slightly softer line, probably a bit more like the DB9 in actual fact. The C63 Sealander, which we're launching the collection on, it sits somewhere in the middle. Yeah, it's more dynamic than the C65 light catcher case, but it's not as sharp as the tool watch environment of the C60. But these watches, so built firstly on the case design, yeah, and then the most important part of a watch, as we all know, is the dial and the handset. That gives the watch its appeal. And the story of the Sealander, we were working on and still are working on, but we haven't cracked it to the point where I think it's good enough yet, different enough yet. We're working on an integrated watch design. Yeah.
Oh,
Integrated, as you guys know only too well, is, I mean, Royal Oak set the standard pretty high. Everybody's been piling in with their versions. We will probably do one, but we have to find something that's a very Christopher Ward way of delivering that idea. And we weren't happy. This is 2.5 years ago. We weren't happy that we were going in the right direction. But what it led us to believe, and this is a sort of an interesting insight into, are you a strapper, are you a bracelet wearer?
Oh, okay.
What integrated watches have done is they've moved the dial even more towards bracelet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Rolex, we know, are the standard for bracelet. They don't do anything other than bracelet. But what has happened with integrated is that it's moved the dial just that bit more towards people wanting to wear bracelet watches. And when we thought about that, we did think about the arena of bracelet watches that sits right in that middle sector between retro and contemporary, which is, you have to say Rolex have kind of cornered it with the Explorer and the Explorer 2. Yeah. Omega, the Aquaterra, which is a nod towards the Explorer 2, and then everybody else, Seiko, all have their sort of Explorer watches in that middle arena. We didn't have that platform. We didn't have that context, and so the Sealander is filling that really large piece in the middle between the retros and the contemporary dive watches. And it's really I call it the every watch. It's that watch that that goes anywhere, does everything. It's not a dive watch, but it'll go down to 150 meters. It's not a dress watch, but it'll look fantastic in any dress watch situation. Yeah, it's sporty, it's adventure, but it's also, quite formal in its way. So we're bringing out 3 models. The automatic at 595 GB pounds. We're bringing out the GMT at 795, and then the elite version, which sits right at the top, which is a really stunning watch, which is titanium, chronometer, and has a piece of technological genius in it, which is a retractable crown. This works like any pen. You just press the crown and it'll pop out.
Wow.
And press it back in and it vanishes. Yeah. So.
Wow.
And it's there are the only watch of equivalence in the watch making canon at the moment is in fact the Omega Aquaterra ultralight, which I don't know if you're familiar with.
Yeah, they just came out and it's like 45,000.
Yeah,
no, some
40,000. Yeah, 40,000 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be going out at 1150. Yeah.
Incredible price.
Cool.
Bravo, by the way, your pricing is incredible for what you guys are offering. It's crazy.
Well, it's very simple, Miguel. I mean, it's this multiply it by 3. Yeah, we're not clever enough to do anything else. Yeah, so whatever it costs us, we multiply it by 3. We don't multiply it by 7, 8, 10, 12, and certainly not 34 times. Yeah, and so because we have this direct to the consumer model, any watch we do is at least going to be half the price of any equivalent watch, because they're selling it into a retailer who has to have their margin. Yeah. And so you're guaranteed with us of at least having half the price, but because most of the big brands apply more than 6 times multiple, yeah, you're getting a much better value. So I can tell you, for instance, that the cost of that retractable crown, that tiny thing, is 12% of the total cost of the watch.
Yeah.
Um,
Seems
so
expensive.
that's an expensive crown, but we'll only multiply that by 3 times in the selling price. Yeah? So it's a very simple model that we've always lived by. As I say, we're not clever enough to do anything different. But what it does mean is that you can be absolutely certain that what you're getting is. I defy anybody. There are loads of watches around that price, and even 595 for the automatic. If somebody can bring me a watch at that price that's as good as ours, I'll give them a free watch. Because it's when you get to hold and see our watches and wear them, and you see the level of detail that the teams go to create these watches, that's when you realize the difference. So that's, we don't need to do lacquered dials, but we do, because it makes it easier to read a watch if you have a lacquered dial. It's a really expensive process. It's difficult to assemble because you've got to make, they attract dust like like nobody's business. So it costs more money to make it. We don't have to do different polishings and finishings on the facets of the indexes, but we do, because that will bounce light off in a really interesting way and make the watch that's on your wrist, that you look at how many dozens of times a day. Every time you look at it, you'll get something different off it. Yeah, these are the little things that people like you guys understand about watches,
right?
That most people don't, but actually in wear they'll know that it's an interesting thing on their wrist. Yeah, we don't sandblast our cases. Loads of people, we did the case for the Elite, the titanium, not sandblasted. It's hard to polish and finish titanium, but it's worth doing because it gives a life to the thing that you're wearing on your wrist. And that's what we try and do. It's no compromise. Push hard, work hard, go to the edge of the envelope, push those boundaries, and then if you're lucky, you'll create something that has real value and that people will cherish and love, even if they don't even know why. Yeah, and that's what we're about. That's what we try to be about.
It's great. And you could tell, I mean, just by, again, I've never held one of your watches in the metal, but from what I hear and what I see in the pictures and the videos, and I know that they don't do it any justice, but it's always positive, and that's what we're definitely excited to talk to you.
I'd love to. I believe we're sending you a C60 Trident, I think, Miguel. So when you have it, I'd really love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
And don't be. And if you don't think, I know you'll tell me, but I'm confident that you'll know that you've got something special in your hand, and that's what it's about. It's about trying to create something memorable, not just produce another watch.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you this last question. We're a little over an hour, but thank you for taking the time. And we'll part with this question. By the way, when is this new collection dropping, the Sealander?
It launches on the 29th of April.
Okay, and they will be available online for people to buy?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. You won't have to wait 5 years. You won't have to wait 5 years for them.
You could buy them, people. They're available. So no, let me ask you this, because this is important to us. Because again, a lot of smaller brands or people that want to start a brand maybe watching this, maybe listening to this. So what advice do you have for anybody wanting to start a watch company?
Be bold. 2 things really. Be bold. Yeah. Go your own way. Because to be different is something that's often 40 millimeters across, is hard. So to stand out, you've got to find something different. Yeah, you've got to find something different. And the second thing is make sure you've got enough cash, because setting up a watch brand ain't a cheap thing to do. Yeah. And so but just work hard to find something that's got longevity, that's different. And if it's different enough and you believe in it, you go for it, but just make sure that you can fund it, because it'll be a journey, but it's a great journey. Be bold.
Be bold and get that capital.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. Well, before we really let you go, we like to talk about other things aside. I mean, you could talk about watches, but we like talking about other things just so everybody can get a feel of who you are, Mike, and what you're into or whatnot. So it platform is yours. You could talk about something you want to recommend or not recommend, or food, movie, whatever you want.
Right. Okay. What am I into? I'm into football and music primarily. I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Have been for many years. And for those who haven't, I mean, Bob is 80 in May. Would you believe? Hey, when Bob goes, that's a big day.
Right.
Because the culture that we are all part of, to a large extent, was created by people like Bob Dylan, the Beatles, but Bob Dylan. So the fact that we are all here today talking about watches and the way we're talking about them, to somewhere down the line, Bob has influenced that. So I'm a huge Dylan fan. And if anybody hasn't heard the album he brought out in lockdown 1, Rough and Rowdy Ways, then go and find how good a 79-year-old and how on the button a 79-year-old can still be. And that's the measure of real success, that he's still relevant and writing fantastic, relevant music in his 80th year. Bravo.
He's legendary.
And then if you're looking to support the best football team in the world, you have to support Everton Football Club, who are my team.
Okay.
And I can see the blank looks on your faces. That who the hell are they?
Yeah, I'm not into sports at all. So
you're not into sport, eh?
I'm not into sports at all.
I think what you're talking about, we call soccer, correct?
You call soccer,
Right,
you call
right,
soccer.
Right.
The correct word is football, but
football.
In Mexico, we call it football. So Piros, get it right.
Yeah, football. Yeah. Well, in Mexico, Mexico's a football mad country.
Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Yeah, no, and Mexico, they're crazy, just like you guys. I mean, everybody's hardcore, and if you don't, it's so crazy, Piros, that if you, well, it's like football for us, like American football.
Right.
If you don't go for the team and you're an opposite team, or you're like the rivals, like people go crazy over there in Mexico, man. They get into fights and they don't like you.
No, exactly. So and then poetry is my other passion. I like poetry.
Okay.
Cool. Very nice, very polished.
If your listeners are looking for some interesting poetry to read, I would recommend. I've just bought the full collection of W.H. Auden, who was an interesting Anglo-American.
Okay.
He had dual citizenship.
Cool.
Actually, but W.H. Auden is a great poet, and I would recommend anybody to read some of his stuff. There you go.
Cool.
Very cool. P. Ross, got anything?
Yeah, I got a couple things. I learned this week that my favorite artist, they're releasing a new album for him, Prince.
Great artist.
It's called Welcome to America, and it was supposed to be released in 2010, but he never released it. He went for an album actually called 2010 that was just released in France. So Welcome to America is supposed to talk about some of the social injustices in America and things that were going on at the time that was crazy. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think that comes out July 29th. So it's going to be a screamer. And also Mortal Kombat.
Oh, saw it last night. Yep.
Yes. And I'm not going to spoil it for nobody. I know a lot of people have been saying it was going to be trash, but I have to highly disagree. This movie was great. It was great.
So we just got HBO because there's so many good movies coming out, right?
Yeah.
So, like the Justice League with
Yeah.
Schneider,
Zack Snyder. That was good.
yeah, I saw part one and we stopped
Yeah.
because my son, I guess it was too long for him. But we saw Mortal Kombat, and he's 5 years old. He knows nothing about Mortal Kombat. Actually, he saw the video game and he was hooked. And I mean, probably not a good thing for a 5-year-old to be looking at, right? All this blood and gore and fatalities and whatnot. I don't know, Mike, if you know what Mortal Kombat is, but
I do.
okay. It's but yeah, the movie. So the classic for me was the '90s because I was a kid, but it was kind of cheesy. But yeah, this one was interesting. Not
Yeah.
great, but it was
I thought it-
interesting.
I
I mean,
thought it
I
was
will
great.
watch part two. Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. It brought back memories. I was like, oh yeah, is that this person? I'm not gonna spoil
Right.
it, but is that this character? Is that character? Brought
Yeah.
back memories, But Mike, where can people find you? I don't know if you want to give your personal account or information, or just Christopher Ward, but where can people find?
Well, they can find my my email address on our website, where we encourage our customers to contact me. And I'll always get back to them.
Okay.
Because that's the way we roll. And that's at christopherward.com. So
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Sounds good. P. Ross.
Ross Wristwatch Love everywhere, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And check out the SoCal Watch Reviews Facebook page, podcast. It's off the chain. We're doing big things over there.
Sounds good. And you can find me at SoCal Watch Reviews on YouTube and Instagram, of course. And if you type in SoCal Watch Reviews on Google, this should pop up the podcast. And any Spanish speakers, Relojeando is my Spanish YouTube channel where we do the same thing as English. I just speak Spanish. But Mike, thank you so much for taking the time. I hope everybody enjoyed this episode.
Yes, sir.
Christopher
Yes,
Ward,
sir.
Go check them out. Incredible brand, incredible mission. And we look forward to speaking to you again because, man, you got some great things coming. So,
yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure to spend part of my Sunday with you guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
awesome. And everybody out there, stay humble.